Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon. Okay, we've arrived at another Sabbath, so let's just clarify a few points that were made from last lecture on the numbers. Now, numbers do have they are very important. They do affect a person's life, and names are very important. What name you give to your son or to your daughter is imperative that you do not fall into certain number categories, because that will affect your son or your daughter for the rest of their life if the number is, what it shouldn't be. Now, I think there was some confusion, because what happened, some students ended up calculating certain numbers and they arrived at 7, and then they asked the question, is that mean that person is corrupt? Well, you are working the wrong system. You're not going to be able to find out with the English numbering system. I do not use that, and I do not recommend it, because that will give the wrong answer. It will give the wrong numbers. So I use a different system, and so therefore, if you want to inquire about a person, like you're going to marry a person, you have a girlfriend or a fiance, and you want to know, will that relationship last? Is she the right one for you, or he the right one for you? Run his name by me first. Then I can calculate and tell you the number of that person. And if the number happens to be a 5 or a 7, then you're going to have problems in that relationship. That relationships, may not end up being what you expect it to be. So that's why it's important. Same with the business. If you're going to do business with a particular person, his number must not equal to 7. Unfortunately, Christianity has made a lot of confusion. Church doctrines, church pastors, many pastors have made people confused with the wrong numbers, telling them that this number means completion, and this number means this, and this number means that. And you end up with all sorts of wrong interpretations. Because of these wrong interpretations, I think people are really confused. Like, for instance, they think the number 7 is a good number. It might appear to be a good number, but actually it is not a good number in the numbering system. I mean, I took two complete random people, that I ran their name. Two random people that I know of, from a distance. I ran their number and their name into a number, and it was the number 7. And both people are 100% corrupt. So this is the problem. The problem is that people don't realize that, if somebody is corrupt, somebody's bad, it doesn't say on their forehead that he's corrupt or bad. What does tell us that we should we do business with that person? Should we not? Should we work with him? Should we not? We have to work this system out. Now, people such as Daniel the prophet and people such as Joseph in Egypt, they were experts in this system. They knew how to calculate a person and what a person's going to be like. They knew this. But the Bible gives us examples of that system. It does not tell us in, clear words, but it does tell us in unclear words. It leaves hints, and it does tell us, but we have to then know whether that is correct or not. Now, let me take you to the number 7. You might say, well, the number 7, is a divine completion and all that. Yeah, it's a nice hogwash. It's a nice hogwash. That's why I say it's not divine completion at all. The number for God is not 7. The number for God is 3. Okay? Just remember that. Number 1. Number 2, the number 7. I gave you an example of the ship that sunk. You remember last week I gave you the example of that? So that happened to be the number 7. So now let me give you the example of something that's going to work out against you. Yeah, let's look at another example, because you'll have to listen to last week's lecture again to get all the numbers again. But I'm not giving you a summary. Example: most of the homes that I lived in, their number did not add to 7, okay, except one home. And that home, that number added up to 7. Actually, no, not one home, 2 homes. 2 homes that I lived in, their number ended up in 7. And let me just work that out. 6, 16, and yeah, 2 homes did end up with the number 7. Now, one home belonged to my sister before I bought it, and the other one, I didn't even know the number that I was buying, because I wasn't in the country at the time. So somebody else bought it on my behalf. So that's why I could not say to the person, hey, don't buy this home. But anyhow, both of those homes that had the number 7, I lost money on both of those homes. Every other home that I owned that did not add up to the number 7, I had 2 homes with the number 13. That equals to 4. The number 13 homes, they both gave me a profit. So, the moral of the story, or the number 7, I personally can tell you for myself that I incurred losses in 2 homes with the number 7. Now, I can tell you that we lost the temple twice. You want to look at the number 7? Look at the number 7. The temple had the menorah, which had 7 cups. Okay? That temple burned down twice. Now do you see the problem with the number 7? The temple was marked to be burned down. Even when it was built. Even before it was built, it was marked to be burnt down. Now, we might argue that that's because the children of Israel were going to be corrupt. Some of them at least, not all of them. Some of them were going to be corrupt. Some of them are going to be evil. Some of them are going to do bad things. Sure. So God had originally marked the temple to be destroyed. Let's go back to the tablets. The 2 tables of stones. The first tables of stones with the 10 commandments that Moses brought down was, destroyed. Broke. And then he had to go and get the second set of stones. So, at least in the set of stones that were broke, the number was 10, which equals to 1. And you can say 1 is also, echad. The numerical 1 is a unity of God. So that didn't work out detrimental to us. But everywhere else where we had the number 7, we have problems. So I would encourage you to run it by me. You got my email, and you can run it. If you're my students, if you're tithe payers and you support the ministry, then you can run it by me. And if you are freeloaders, just coming around here to ask questions, and you're not going to get no answers, because I'm sorry, I'm done with freeloaders. Enough of that. You can go to your pastors and you can go and ask them questions and learn all the bad teachings and let them affect your lives and end up with the negativity and with the wrong, principles and with the disasters in your life, and perhaps, that's where you need to be. So, Torah is not for you. Torah is for those people who are honest, who are subject to God, and who want to support God's work. And those who don't want to support God's work are just here as freeloaders, then you'll just disappear one day and you'll go wherever you need to go. It's no problem. So I just wanted to make sure that you understand that numbers do affect you. Your car number affects you. I might have given you an example on my father's cars, maybe I didn't. My father owned 2 cars, and not 2 cars, 3 cars. And all those 3 cars ended up in a wreck. Guess what number that would be? And I'll leave that to your imagination. So, I've never had a car with a number plate, because you have to add the numbers on the plate. If you own a car, add the 3 numbers on the plate, not the letters. Ignore the letters, add the numbers. Usually there is 2 or 3 numbers on the car. Some countries have 4 numbers. You add the 4 numbers, make sure they don't end up in a 7. Make sure about that. Because if they do, you do not want to buy that car. If it adds up to the number 5, you do not want to buy that car unless you want to incur losses. So that's the other problem. Same with the home, same with the car, same with the business address and everything else. So yes, there are remedies, and there are problems and there are remedies. And so as far as the remedies are concerned, when the remedies need to be dealt out, people who support my ministry, people who support this ministry, they'll get the remedies as well for their problems. So that's no problem whatsoever. Just to give you a testimony, now I don't give everything out publicly because I know that people don't appreciate it, and people, this freeloading stuff, nothing is free. You have to learn. You respect your teachers. If you have to do something for a service, then you learn something, then you appreciate it. And if everything is free, you'll never benefit of it because you will squander it. Now, we will talk about the story of the prodigal son who squandered his father's wealth. But before we come to that, I wanted to give you a testimony of a Muslim girl that came to me, and she was jobless for a while. And I gave her something, and I said, do this, and within 30 days, you will get your job. And guess how long it took her to get her job? 1 day. She only did that for 1 day, and she got the job the next day. Now I told her, she came back and told me she got the job, and I told her, I said, okay, that's fine, but continue to do the work I told you for 1 month, 30 days. Because you need to carry out the task completely, because you want to get a decent salary, and then to build your salary on top. You don't just get stagnated in one salary. So that's how powerful some of these things are. Now, and I'll probably give you more testimonies of that, and I'm not going to put that out in public. I'll give it to my private students. It's not going out in the public. So, having said that, let's come back to Yeshua, Jesus, and let's look at what happened with this prodigal son. And reading from the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls, chapter 15 of the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls, we read the story of, from verse 11, a certain man who had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his Abba, give me the share of the estate that belongs to me, and he divided to them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his inheritance with riotous living. And by the way, before I continue, I'm just going to pause. I'm going to give you another testimony of somebody, a business family that I know in the East, very rich business family. They came to me about 1.5 years ago, and I told that business family that exactly within 2 years, I told them that within 2 years, you're going to run into severe issues with your properties. You're going to start having fighting about inheritances. So I told the people concerned, the person concerned, I told her to sort out your inheritance, because you're going to end up with lots of problems with this inheritance. And before you run into those problems, you want to make sure that you're on top of it. And you know what? Perhaps the person didn't take it so seriously. I gave them 2 warnings twice, and they didn't take it seriously. And guess what happened now? Now the person came back to me, and now they're having those problems I told them about. Not even 2 years, it's actually 1.5 years now. And they're going through the problem with the homes that they own, and they're going through the problem with the ownership of the homes. Who owns them? There's a lot of fighting going on between them about inheritance. So the person said to me that they are having lots of these problems, and she asked for my help, and I told her, I said, listen, I really, because this involves work. Work means I have to do the spiritual work, the leg up. And I'm so, busy doing lots of spiritual work that, spiritual work doesn't mean just 5-minute prayer. Spiritual work means sitting there for next 3 hours, every night, sitting there for 2 hours, 3 hours every night, and doing something for that person in order to circumvent the problems they are having. So I told her, well, I said, we'll have to see, because you did not take action when I told you. Why should I take action now? I'm not getting nothing out of it. You lose your millions, good for you. So I told her that I gave you 2 warnings, clear warnings, and you didn't take it seriously, and now you want to take it seriously? Okay. Now you take it seriously, but I will only act when I get a nod from God to act. Otherwise, I won't act. So that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't listen to the Kohen. You pay the price. That's why I urge people, to listen and to do the right thing for themselves. So coming back to the story of the prodigal son. It says in verse 14, and when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in need. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to have his belly filled with the husks that the pigs were eating, and no man gave it to him. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my Abba have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my Abba, and will say to him, Abba, I have transgressed against Shemaim, heavens, and before you, and am no more worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants. And he rose and came to his Abba, but when he was yet a great way off, his Abba saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And his son said to him, Abba, I have transgressed against heavens, against Shemaim, and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. Okay, so let's just stop there. The prodigal son, let's spiritualize this a little bit. The prodigal son is you and me and everybody else out there. Why? Because technically we all went astray, from the Abba. Then we come back to the Abba, and then we say we are not worthy. It's exactly what the son is saying, that I'm no more worthy. But the Abba said to his servants, bring forth the best robe, put it on him, and put a ring on his finger, and sandals on his feet, and bring here the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost and is found, and they began to be merry. Now the son says twice that he is not worthy. In verse 19 you see it, he says that I am not worthy to be your son. Twice he tells his father that he is not worthy, and second time he says it in verse 21. So God, in his mercy, even if we are not worthy, we should never say that. Why? Because this is a form of manifestation, a desire. If you have a desire and you keep saying that you're not worthy, or you keep thinking in your head that you are not worthy, that desire will be at a distance from you. It won't come to you. You're going to continue to delay it. Why? Because you're telling the answer you're giving to God is that you're not worthy. And when you keep saying to God that you're not worthy, then the desire is at a distance. It doesn't happen for you. So first thing that you got to do is you acknowledge whatever's happened, good or bad. You acknowledge that the good or bad has happened, and you understand it and you accept it. When you accept the good and bad, and you say, okay, thank you, Lord, thank you, God, for this experience. I am happy to have this experience where I'm down on the floor, or you lost your job, you lost your business. Thank you that I've lost my job and business, and thank you for teaching me and giving me this experience. Now I want to lift off the ground and get back to the position of being above ground, and at a great status. And so that God can work in your life, you do not say, oh, you're not worthy, you're not worthy. You don't say that. You don't say it internally. You don't say it in your mental conversation. You definitely don't say it in your mental conversation. Because whatever you say in your mental conversation is going to show up in your life in the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks. Let me tell you something. A list method. Let me give you a little testimony on the list method. On the list method, I wrote down on my list, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, I wrote down that somebody offered me a cold drink. Just as a comment. And you can do that. You can write anything on your list. You can write things like, somebody offered me a free coffee. So I wrote down, somebody offered me a cold drink. And what happened, 4 or 5 days later, I was at a mechanic's garage. I went to get my car's catalytic converter cleaned up. They do a little service on it. And I was sitting, and I went, and there were some people there sitting, and I go and sit inside, and they greet me, and then the man offers me a free, chocolate biscuits, what you might call cookie type biscuits, and he offers me a free cold drink. So I say, thank you. First I say, it's okay, I don't really need the chocolate candy, biscuit. But he puts it up in front of me, so I take it, because he's insistent. And then he says, would you like a cold drink? I said, yes, please, I'll take the cold drink. So I take the glass of water and I drink it. Now I only wrote that 5 days ago. That shows you the power of writing. That's why I say to you, write what you desire. Write it. That if you want something, write it down, so that it can come in your life. Good things, good stuff for you. Maybe for somebody else. Maybe you have a mom. Maybe you have a sister. Maybe you have a brother. Maybe you have whoever, girlfriend, wife, and you want them to have something good. And you write it for them. You could just say, like, you're asking for a free cup of coffee, or somebody, maybe your whoever in your family wants to get a phone, and you can write down for them that they've got a new phone. With their name, you can write down in your journal, they've got a new phone. So that you're doing an act of kindness for them. And that's great. You should do that. So having said that works. The list method works. Now, I've only told you about one occurrence, but there's at least 2 or 3 occurrences that occurred. Like, I also wrote down, I saw 2 butterflies. As an example, I wrote down on my list, I saw 2 butterflies, and one day I was looking up and I saw 3 butterflies together. So I was like, okay. So I was thinking, why the 3? And then I realized, I wrote 2, and then I saw the 3, and then I saw the 2 butterflies. And I was like, wow, I saw the 2 butterflies. Yeah, I saw 2 butterflies as well. So that came to pass. So my point is that whatever you write is going to be coming to pass in your life. So, do that. It'll help you. So coming back to the doubt, or coming back to the worthiness, you should always feel worthy, because God has made you abundant. Now, just because your business is not doing so great, or you're down in your job for some reason, or something else, there are means and there are ways to improve those things. Because it could be to do with maybe the car you drive. It has the wrong number on it. Maybe it's got the number 7 or the number 5. Maybe it's the house you live in. It's got the number 7. Those things do matter and they affect you. So you have to ask and you have to make sure. And it's easy, it's not hard, because you don't need no great maths for your house number. You just look at your house number. In America, most house numbers are 4 digits. So you just add the 4 digits and you derive your number. Then you know whether it's the number 7 or number 5 or some other number. If it's another number, then you're okay. If it's a number 7 or 5, it could be problematic. Remember what I just taught you earlier in last week. Maybe you want to recap on the last week's lecture what I said, and it does matter. If you're struggling with unemployment, and I'm not disparaging people who don't pay their tithes because they're unemployed. I'm more than happy to help the unemployed get jobs, but if you're honest to God and you will dedicate 10% of your tithes to the ministry, then sure, I will help you. But not because if you just want a freebie and you want to know and then you disappear into the wilderness, then the answer is no, I won't help you. So those days are gone when everybody and their grandmother used to come and their dog and just get free information and disappear. Those days are long gone. So this is where we are today. We need to be honest to ourselves. So let me give you the value of Bibi Netanyahu's name. By the way, his name value ends up as 7 as well. And you can see that the man is corrupt to the core. Do you know that there are cases against him in Israel on corruption that is yet to be heard on, and he's attending courts for that, and all this war is all a distraction. It's all a distraction. Simple. The man is not what he claims, and I don't think I need to say any more than that. What's happening in Israel, I don't think any person who's sane will support such incidents. Killing of children and women, I don't think anybody will support it. Any right man will not support such events. So anyway, moving on. The thing is that this is why you may wonder, why is your business down? Why aren't you getting ahead in life? It could be to do with the numerals of your name, or it could be to do with the car you drive, the home you live in. Several factors. Several factors affect you, and things that we ignore, they can affect you. Things that we ignore, and if we ignore them, and we can live in ignorance for a long time, but then when we come to our senses, and then we realize, there's a problem, and then eventually somebody knowledgeable, somebody with the knowledge may come along and say, what, this, and then you realize, I've got this problem, I've got to deal with it. So yes, so there is a solution, by the way. There is a solution for everything. And if you are my students, if you are people who tithe, people who support the ministry, then if you are in any kind of situation, any kind of problem, just come back, connect with me, contact me on my email, shimon63@yahoo.com, SHIMOUN 63@yahoo.com, or you may even have my WhatsApp or Telegram, and you can connect with me, and I will be able to assist you with that. I will be able to assist you with whatever problem you're having, whether it's marital, whether it's home, whether it's finances, whatever. So, having said that, the Bible gives us many examples of such things, but we ignore them. So remember, your thoughts are things. As a man thinketh, so he should be. So think on higher things. Think on good things. Think about great things in your mind. Dwell on great things. Because if you dwell on great things, then you will make a great life. Try to benefit the community. Try to build something, try to develop something that will help the community, help the people where you live, the country even. So that's good. That's great. And it's wonderful if you do that, because the side effect of that would be, if you invented something and that helped the community, the side effect of that would be that you will benefit monetarily from it. So it's a great thing to do that. So, coming back to the prodigal son, we then see in verse 25, his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the Bait, to the house, he heard music and dancing, and he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, your brother has returned, and your Abba has killed the fatted calf, because he has received him safe and sound. And he was angry and would not go in. Therefore his Abba came out and pleaded with him. And he answered, saying to his Abba, lo, these many years do I serve you, neither transgressed I at any time your commandment, and yet you never gave me a kid which I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this your son has come, which has devoured your living with the whores, you have killed for him the fatted calf. And he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. It was appropriate that we should celebrate and be glad, for this your brother who was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. So, Baruch Hashem, if you are in that situation that you were lost and you are found, or you found God, I should say, God found you. Baruch Hashem, praise God. Praise Him that, He has found you, and He has saved you, and He has recovered you, and now you can bless Him and bless His name, and you can benefit. So that's great, that's wonderful. Likewise, we all want to do well, and there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, everybody should, and everybody can. But the only problem is that only those people who do the work or the works end up doing well. The one who don't do the works, they don't end up doing well. So with that, I don't want to drag this on. And like I said, I'll repeat myself again. If you're my students, you're in any kind of difficulty or any kind of challenging situation, if you're in any kind of challenging situation, whether it's marital life, job, whether it's business, ask me, and I'll be able to assist you greatly in that matter. And so I can help to better your life and change it for the better. So with that, have a wonderful Sabbath. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom to you.